Hey everyone, welcome into the Flippin Hippos YouTube channel. I'm Star. If you're new here, you haven't yet, please consider subscribing and helping us feed a hungry hippo. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Today we're going to be talking about two experiences I've just recently had with Poshmark. I'm going to preface this video with saying very clearly that this is my experience. It actually happened to me. And so I'm going to tell you about my actual experience, my thoughts, and my opinions. And it's not necessarily a blanket statement on Poshmark itself or all of its employees. I'm sure that there are some fine folks that work for Poshmark that actually know how to read and can use critical thinking skills, but that has not been my experience. And I want to talk about it a little bit with you guys, just to share my story with you. And so you can be aware of what's going on that platform. And also, I should preface, go get a snack and go get something to drink and settle in, because it's going to be story time. And if you don't like my long-winded stories or that I talk too much, I can't help you there, because this is a story time video. I will also add that I like selling on the Poshmark platform. I really do enjoy it. It's very easy to list on Poshmark, especially because I use List Perfectly to crosspost. It makes the entire process very seamless, very easy, very fast. I like selling on the platform. The 20% fee is okay with me because I'm not paying a store subscription fee. You know, a lot of folks complain about the 20% fee on their sales, but on eBay, you're paying your store subscription fee plus your fees, plus your final value fees, and then your ad fees and your promotion fees. Actually, I think we all end up paying a lot more fees on eBay. So I do like the simplified straight fees on Poshmark. Under $15, you know, it's $2.95 flat rate fee. That's great. I love the ease of listing. I like the rating system, the feedback. I like the sharing aspect. I like all of it. What I used to really love about selling on Poshmark was that all sales were final. There were no returns for buyer's remorse. I understand that on any platform, there's really no such thing as no returns, because if an item arrives damaged, if you send a buyer the wrong item on accident, if you send it with damage that you missed and somehow didn't disclose in the listing, then absolutely, yes, there should be a return for that, for those reasons. But there is the possibility of having a platform that doesn't allow returns for buyer's remorse. And up until my two recent experiences with Poshmark, that was the case. However, it seems that the Poshmark buyers may be getting privy to how eBay buyers have long been able to get around a no return by claiming an item not as described falsely. And unfortunately, the Poshmark employees that I dealt with, that I had the customer experience with, did not have the capability of determining the difference between buyer's remorse lying or falsifying a not as described and an actual not as described. So I'm going to tell you my exact stories, and you can take it for what you will. Just be wary on Poshmark, because I feel like buyers are getting savvy to how to get around the no return policy. And I don't know that all Poshmark customer service or their employees that review and approve the returns are actually like paying attention to what they're doing. So story number one, I sold a pair of jeans to a buyer that were a petite. Now, if you're not aware of women's sizes, a petite doesn't mean skinny. It means short. So like I'm a petite, I'm fluffy, but I'm also 5 foot even. And so I need petite sized pants. Petite in women's only means short, for shorter people. So when you buy a pair of women's jeans that are size petite, they're going to have a shorter inseam and an overall length than a regular pair. The size was in the title, the description, and the drop down size on Poshmark, as well as all measurements were provided in the listing. The buyer received it and then messaged me that they were too short. And I messaged back with, did you realize that you bought a size petite? And I guess they did not. they didn't see it in the 6 different places it was provided. They didn't notice that they were buying petites and these were too short. And I did what I always do to Poshmark buyers when they're not happy with their item, but it's not necessarily a not as described. Let's just say it's buyer's remorse or they don't like it or it didn't fit. And you can do this too. You're more than welcome to steal this idea from me. In fact, I stole it from another friend way back when I first started selling on Poshmark. You can offer to them to use your photos. So I always say something like, you're more than welcome to take my photos from the original listing and use those to sell the item yourself in your own closet to recoup your money. Didn't hear anything back from her for a few days. So I'm like, okay, so she mistakenly bought a petite size and she's probably a taller person and didn't want them, but maybe she is just going to use my pictures and sell it. So after a couple days go by, she opens a case on Poshmark stating that the jeans were hemmed and we had not disclosed in the listing that they were hemmed. And so I responded back, as you're allowed to do. If you've ever had a case on Poshmark, it's basically the buyer opens the case, they say why, and then you have a chance to respond. They can see what you say, though. So anything you say, they can read it. And a lot of buyers get into that attitude of headbutting and they want to argue with you. Don't engage, okay? Don't argue with the buyer. Don't act like you're speaking to them. That's my best advice with Poshmark cases. I always act like I'm speaking directly to Poshmark and I keep it very professional. I don't argue with the buyer. I don't engage with them. I don't speak to them directly. I always respond, but as if I'm speaking to Poshmark because they do read it and review it. So I basically just responded with the fact that we had been messaging each other and she didn't know they were petites and that they were just too short and they were not in fact hemmed, and that would have been disclosed. So Poshmark steps in and asks for pictures from the buyer in order to review the case. So on a case that this buyer opened claiming that the pants were hemmed and thus shorter than they should be, and that we did not disclose this in the original listing, they asked for a picture of proof. She provides a picture of the jeans like this. This is what you see in the picture, like a leg. This is the picture she provided. Now, even if you're not familiar with selling jeans, you can probably determine and deduce on your own using logical thinking that if pants are hemmed, it's down here on the bottom. And you would show where it had been folded in and re-sewn. You would show something like that. That would be the picture you would provide, correct? That would show that it was hemmed. First showed a leg. Just a leg. Just a random leg. So I saw that and I thought, well, they're not going to approve that. That doesn't even show that they were hemmed. That shows a pair of jeans. That's all it shows. So they approved her return. And I reached out to customer service and I was very professional. I didn't even try to argue or engage like into an argument with the customer service at Poshmark, but I was very professional, but I expressed my outrage. I don't even know that it was outrage, but my disdain. Yeah, that's a good word. I expressed my disdain. I said, how is it that you responded to this case with a message that said, upon careful review? Because there was no review, careful or otherwise. If you had actually read the messages and seen the screenshots of the messages from between me and the buyer, where she had originally claimed she didn't realize she bought petites. She literally admitted to me in messages, and I showed those to you. And then her photo didn't even show a hem. How is that careful review? How are you approving these returns? I said, I'll take the return. That's fine. I have to. But moving forward, this is supposed to be a no return platform for buyer's remorse. And if they can provide photos and solid proof of getting an item that's not as described, that's fine. And I'll own up to it and I'll take it if it's my mistake. But this was not my mistake. And I proved to you that it wasn't. I just think that moving forward, maybe you need to actually do a careful review when you say you do one. And of course, I got the cookie cutter response with kindly regards, sorry about you feel this way. My complaining to them and talking to them probably really did nothing at the end of the day. but make me feel a little bit better maybe. But that was the first story. Now, I hope you did go get a drink and a snack, because we're getting into the second story time. And this one's a little bit longer because I have to go over to eBay and tell you a little bit story of eBay to get into the Poshmark. So on the same day, we had some comics sell. We had a couple sell on eBay, and it was the same character series, consecutive issue numbers. And then over on Poshmark, we had another bundle sell. That one was like 8 consecutive number issues, same character. So I did look at the buyer's name on Poshmark and eBay just out of curiosity. You know how you'll look and think, oh, I sold, I believe it was Daredevil. It was Daredevil. And there were like 8 consecutive issue numbers on Poshmark that sold, and then like a smaller 3 bundle on eBay. And I thought, hey, I wonder if it's the same person buying a same series and character comics, but their username was different on Poshmark and eBay. And I didn't look at the labels and compare them to see if it was the same address. Week goes by, I don't think about it anymore. We get a case opened on eBay that the comics arrived creased, and it was worded nicely. The buyer said, these comics arrived creased and I would rather not keep them for my collection. Can I return for a refund? And they opened it as item arrived damaged, which you have to accept on eBay. They provided photos of comics that looked just like the comics in our listing. Just like this, no creases, no damage. It just showed a used comic in good condition, just like we showed in our listing. There was no damage to it. He literally just took pictures of the comics and then was going to return them. A sneaking suspicion inside me thought, well, he did probably read them and now he's returning them, because honestly there was nothing wrong with them, but he knew to open an item arrived damage case, and then he provided photos of comics that weren't damaged. The photos were taken on a blanket that had a blue and a white and an orange stripe and on a gray couch. So I kind of remembered that. At least it stood out to me. So a couple days later, I get a case opened on Poshmark. Can you guess? Can you guess where the story is going? A case is opened on the comic bundle that's sold. And the buyer says, these comics arrived creased. I would rather not keep them for my collection. Can I return them for a refund? Verbatim, quote unquote, the exact same wording as the return on eBay. So I went and looked at the pictures he provided Poshmark on his case. Comics with no creases, no damage, just laid out exactly as they were in our listing. They weren't perfect, they were used, but they weren't creased and damaged as he was claiming. And the pictures were taken on a blanket that had an orange stripe, a white stripe, and a blue stripe on a gray couch. And I put them side by side. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the same blanket, the same couch, and the comics aren't damaged in either case. So I actually called them out on Poshmark, and I responded to my case there and said, this buyer has opened false returns on other platforms claiming damage that wasn't there. And this isn't the first time he's done it. I feel like he's probably treating us as a library and reading these comics and trying to return them. If you actually look at his photos, there is no damage to the comics. And if you compare those photos to the photos in our original listing, which I'll attach here, they're the exact same. And then a couple days later, I get the response from Poshmark. Upon careful review, they approve it. There was no review, careful or otherwise. Poshmark, when you say upon careful review, you better have carefully reviewed the case. Don't blow smoke up my ass and tell me what I want to hear. You didn't review it. You didn't review it carelessly or carefully. So I always tell you guys, keep your emotions out of business, and you absolutely should always keep your emotions out of your business. Always, always be respectful and professional in your responses to buyers and to customer service on any of the selling platforms. Always be the better person. Don't engage in arguments. Don't fight with people. Don't let it upset you. Don't let one return on eBay ruin your whole day. Don't let one return on Poshmark ruin your whole week. Don't let the emotional part of it get to you. And that is not what this is. I'm on a professional level questioning why on a platform where we don't approve returns for buyer's remorse, buyers are finding a loophole through that to file not as described, but the photos and the messages and the proof they're providing are not proof of not as described. And Poshmark is still approving these returns because there's no critical thinking being used. In fact, if you were to ask me my opinion, and let me preface this again so no one at Poshmark comes after me, this is my opinion based on my recent 2 experiences. I think as long as a buyer attaches a photo, the return is going to be approved. So if they claim on Poshmark that it was different than the listing, it was damaged, it arrived damaged, or was damaged that you didn't disclose, or it's just different, they can attach a photo of my hamster, and that customer service person is going to look at the case and go, oh, they attached a photo, it must be true. Whatever they're claiming, whatever they're saying, as long as there's a photo attached to that case, then it's absolutely true. It doesn't matter what that photo is. You're claiming it's him, you don't have to show a him. You're claiming it's creased, you don't have to show a crease. In fact, everybody, I'll send you all pictures of Lola, and you can attach my little Lola hamster to any cases you want just to get it approved. That didn't really sound like my emotions are out of it. But it concerns me as a serious issue, because if this is where we're going on that platform, then buyers are going to start being savvy to it and utilizing this loophole and doing things that hurt all of us as business owners and sellers on the platform. And that's not how it should be. I'm not saying if something actually arrives damaged or you make a mistake and send something with a missing button that you didn't disclose, that the buyer should not be able to return it for a refund. Absolutely. When I make mistakes and I miss things, I own it. On eBay, if I know it was my mistake, I don't even require a refund, or sorry, a return for the refund. If I know it's my mistake, if you can prove it. I've sent the wrong item to 2 different people and I just refund them. I make mistakes. Last time I checked, I was still human, unfortunately. I still haven't been rescued by my vampire prince, but I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is buyers finding loopholes and being able to fabricate and lie, and the people that are in charge of reviewing these cases aren't paying attention. If it's your job to review these cases, then review them carefully, as you said you did. Read each message, carefully look through the photos. In fact, compare those to the original listing. Use critical thinking, and then make your decision. But I really feel like these people they've employed are just like, a photo was attached, it must be true. And that's worrisome to me. It's not so much that I'm upset that I had 2 returns. It's whatever. Returns really are a part of business. In fact, I have free returns on eBay. The guy with the comic on eBay, he didn't even have to open an item arrived damaged. He didn't have to lie. He didn't have to show photos. He didn't have to do any of that. He literally could have opened a return and said, change my mind. I don't like it, but it is what it is. Returns are part of business. Ask Amazon Prime. It is a part of doing business, and it's okay. We all make mistakes and it happens, but I want it to be honest. If you are going to tout yourself as a platform that all sales are final and buyers may not return for buyer's remorse and may only return if it's damaged, then actually make them provide proof and actually read and look at the photos and make a decision that's logical and makes sense. Because if you start just approving everything willy-nilly left and right just because they want to return it, then guess what's going to happen? Buyers will find out, and they're all going to, it's just going to be detrimental to resellers. So that's why I'm making this video and I'm talking about it. That's why it, quote unquote, upset me. I don't know that that is the correct word, because I do, you guys, I'm an emotionalist robot most of the time in real life and when it comes to business, for sure. I'm just not I don't feel things. I don't get upset or angry or mad about negative feedback or anything like most people do. I'm really able to keep that emotional part of me out. But the part of me that owns and runs and operates this small business with Keith is concerned about the future of returns on Poshmark. You guys, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but you're going to be now. There are entire groups, like subreddits on Reddit. There are Facebook groups. There are TikTok channels. There are YouTube channels that are dedicated to teaching buyers how to cheat the system, how to get free items, how to get returns when you shouldn't, and how to be dishonest. If you don't believe me, go down that rabbit hole. But there is absolutely TikTok channels, YouTube channels, Facebook groups, subreddits. I always call them Reddit groups because I'm old, but they're subreddit. There's entire places in this internet that are dedicated to people teaching buyers how to be dishonest and how to get things for free, how to buy a bunch of comics and read them and then return them, how to buy a book and read it and return it, how to play a video game and return it, how to wear a dress to a party and return it. There is so much information out there already for buyers to be dishonest and learn how to be dishonest that we have to fend with that, in addition to the employees whose job it is to review these returns and make a logical, intelligence-based decision on the proof provided. And if they're not doing their job and they're not actually looking at the proof and they're not caring enough to actually put the thought into it, you're going to see an influx of dishonest buyers on Poshmark. And I am not here for that. I may not have emotions really when it comes to business, but I don't want to have to deal with that. It's detrimental to all of us, right? Okay, so those are my stories. This has actually happened to me recently. This is a true story. My experience, my opinions, my thoughts. Overall, Poshmark is a great platform to sell on. And like I said at the beginning, I'm sure that 99.999% of their employees are wonderful people who do their job extremely well. And I just unfortunately happened to get the one or two people that didn't feel like doing their job that day. But that's not acceptable to me. It's not. So that was my experience. These are my thoughts. These are my opinions. I will still sell on Poshmark. I will still teach other people how to sell on Poshmark, and I will encourage others to sell on Poshmark. I like the platform. I really do. I'm just not tickled pink with my recent experiences, if you will. All right, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know down below. And join my Facebook group, Flippin Hippos Reseller Pod. Until next time, guys, be wary, but be productive. Make money, but just do everything you can. That's a good idea. Do everything you can to make sure that you have all the information in the listings pertinent to your item, so that if buyers do, on whatever platform, try to open that not as described that may be false, then you can show your original listing. Hey, I pointed out the buttons missing. Hey, I pointed out the crease. Hey, I pointed out this or that. So just do your due diligence. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.